we're on screen. And there's a few other random things to talk about, but it's been a slow weekend. Or I guess slow week. So one of the cool things about only doing one type of topic per week is we have an entire week for it to build up, instead of trying to juggle things with a 2 to 3 day gap. But hey, welcome everyone to the Vomitorium. This is Super Serial Showtime. As always, I'm your host, The Metal, and joining me is my co-host, Marsupial Gamer, who, I don't know, what are you, inside your car or something?
Yeah, driving home.
Driving home. Focus mostly on the road. I'll try to completely carry this until you get back to your thing.
I'm actually in the parking lot, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're not that far from where you work at,
Yeah, very quick.
Yeah. But as he's doing his thing, trying to get back into his apartment or whatever, I would like to remind you that if at any point you enjoy the show, please share it out with somebody else who might like it. Follow, subscribe, whatever you got to do, whatever platform you are. And if you really enjoy it, consider giving a donation to streamlabs.com/vomitoriumlive. And anything you donate will go to the Firefly Fund. It really helps me out, particularly. And I guess we'll start getting, or I don't know. I don't want you to be too focused on what I'm talking about right now until you get back to your computer.
No, I'm parked.
Yeah.
Well. Yes.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Yeah. The bullshit. We'll get rid of the bullshit first.
Okay.
So there was a sneak peek, I guess. It wasn't like a leak or anything. James Gunn posted it, so it was like official. But he showed off the Superman costume for the new movie that's coming up. Yeah, which it looks all right, I guess. It's about as bland as Superman costumes have been lately, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's got a lot of fabric material to it to make it look realistic. The cape, at least, is vibrant, but the actual blue on the suit isn't. It's almost got like this stretchy denim quality, like he's wearing like jeggings or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sold on the outfit. The guy looks fine, with the hair curled over and everything, with the cowlick. Like, I think he's a great actor, visually. I don't know if he can play the job well, but I'm just not sold on the outfit.
Well, what more can you do? I mean, what interesting variations can you do on the same?
Well, I think maybe don't do an interesting variation and just, have him look like Superman and tell a good story.
Oh, okay.
Just put him in spandex. It works. It's worked forever.
Is it too different from? I haven't seen this.
Yeah. It's not the Man of Steel costume, right? With the weird Under Armour scale looking thing, like somebody would wear this under their shirt at the gym or something. Yeah.
Let's see this.
Hey, Vizchozo. No, it's it actually has like fabric seams and stuff, like very notable fabric seams, like you would see on a pair of overalls or jeans or something like that. I don't know, it doesn't have the textured look you'd expect from a Superman outfit. I think that's probably why I'm not sold on it. It also seems a little baggier than it probably should be.
Is it it's too smooth?
I would say it's smooth. It's almost like the opposite. It looks too rough, right? It actually looks like he's wearing a suit made of jeans almost. I don't like it. In fact, I said I wasn't sold on it. Now the more I think about this and I'm explaining it, I don't really like it. I've convinced myself that I don't like it in the midst of talking about this. GMT says, what were you expecting? Blue spandex with red trunks? In quotes, to try to make fun of the X-Men line about the yellow spandex. Yes, I was expecting blue spandex with red trunks. I was expecting somebody to look like they performed in the circus, but with a superhero cape, like Superman was designed to look like. Yeah, and Fizchosa says, it's just another modern Superman movie. Every modern Superman movie is about Earth grappling with a godlike being existing. Maybe, because if this preview image that Gunn put out is any clue, they're going to be grappling with two very different godlike beings existing, so they have to deal with the fact that, like, Superman is there, but it also looks like Solaris is probably the villain, because there's a giant stellar looking thing in the background firing his laser down at the ground. So that's kind of cool that they might actually be using Solaris. It's kind of an unused villain in Superman movies for the most part. And Gunn likes those weird stuff too, right? Like he was the one who wanted to use Ego in Guardians of the Galaxy, so if anybody was actually going to use Solaris, it probably would be James Gunn. Just like how every modern Punisher story is about how Frank is a piece of garbage. Yeah, that's kind of sad. I think, like, if you're going to make a Punisher, it should be about how everyone Frank is killing is a piece of garbage, because he really only goes after pieces of garbage. But yeah, I'm not sold on the outfit. And they could easily change it by now, right? Like, the movie doesn't look like it's that far into production. That's why they just have, like, these teaser images. With enough backlash, I'm sure they could actually just give him a better-looking Superman suit. Unlike Man of Steel, where the best they could do is in, like, later editions of the movie, you could, like, turn up the saturation, but then it kills, like, everything else. The actual suit in Man of Steel was higher saturated, and they toned it down digitally, which makes no sense whatsoever, but... Let's see. GMT says they should just go with Lobo. Oh, Marsupial's probably switching over from Machines. Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with that. I don't think Lobo could be a solo villain, but he would be a great one if you're trying to work a conflict between, like, Lobo is the super-powered thing bothering Clark, while Lex Luthor's also being his own corporate menace at the same time. I think you could juggle a really good story that way. And they always want to juggle Lex Luthor in anyway, so yeah, they should have just went with Lobo. He would have been the perfect villain to do that with.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. How you doing?
Yes. I somehow think I got muted because I was like sitting there talking and...
Oh, I didn't hear you at all. Yeah. No.
Oh, yeah. I was like, what is going on? Why aren't you responding to anything?
No. Okay. If you remember anything you said, I'll respond now.
Well, okay, so where is this posted? Is this the guy sitting, like, adjusting his boots?
Well, I think so. It was on James Gunn's Threads. He posted it because he's the type of weirdo that uses Threads.
Oh, it's all dirty.
Yeah.
Like his suit is all dirty. Yeah, I don't actually have a Threads account, but I'm not.
I do too.
Using it. I gotta. Who's Solaris?
So Solaris is like a living solar mass. He's kind of like a. I think he's actually smaller than a dwarf. He's like a neutron star, sort of. It's pretty fun villain, actually. Speaking of Lobo, there was a time where Lobo was fighting him, and he actually hooked his chain into him and tossed this solar mass around, because people like to joke about how weak Lobo is. It's like, it's not that he's strong or weak. Lobo's just the most inconsistent character in all of DC, where he can toss around somebody who could sneeze away a galaxy 1 second, and then he's getting handcuffed by Batman the next second. You know, like, nobody takes him seriously.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I was trying to find the actual threads instead of going through an article, but it's making me log into Instagram just so I can log into Threads, because similar to Twitter, it won't let me search. At least it'll let you look at Threads, but they won't let me search at something if I'm not logged into Threads.
Yeah.
Twitter, you can't even look at Twitter if you're not logged in anymore. Should have been Metallo. I'm not a big fan of Metallo, but he's still a good villain. I could agree. You can make a Metallo movie. Just not my cup of tea. See if I can find this thing. But yeah, I do not care for the outfit just looking at it.
I mean, it's hard to tell because it's like all dirty.
Yeah.
But it might be more vibrant at the beginning.
Well, I think it is partially the dirt because his legs look a little more saturated. I think it's really just the texture that's throwing me off, and it looks really loose, right? Like it's tight enough that it's showing off his form, but it just looks like baggy compared to what I'm used to a Superman outfit looking, and I think that's bothering me too. He at least does have trunks on. There are red trunks separating his top and bottom halves visually. So there's that. I'll give him props for that. It does have the big red boots that go up like over half of the shin. So there are aspects of this that I like better than the last time they did a Superman outfit. It's just the fabric, the material they're doing is grinding me for some reason.
Wait, it's Zack Snyder. It's not Zack Snyder.
No, it isn't. It's James Gunn is the one who is producing this movie.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I see. Fizz chose his comment that. Yeah. No, it's not him. He's pretty much nothing to do with this stuff anymore. He left. He's gone. I mean, if they had a dark movie that they promised to give him full control, I'm not surprised if he would come back as a director. But unless something changes, he's completely disconnected from this DC universe and everything.
Yeah. Oh, he's referring to Man of Steel. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Who is this actor?
I actually don't know this guy's name. I know they announced it like a while back, but I forget. I'm just like, I think as a Superman, he's got like the jawline, like his face in general and everything. He looks fine as Superman. I'm sure, I mean, looking at that tiny chair, it's hard to tell how big this guy is. Anyone would probably look big in that chair. But I'm sure they pick somebody who is of a reasonable size, you know. Just whether he can act or not, that's the question.
I liked Henry Cavill.
I did too.
Gonna have to step up, I guess. Whoever.
Yeah, he's got some big boots to fill, considering all the previous people who have played Superman.
Yeah.
I haven't liked
the S is
Brandon Routh.
Is the S a little bit off?
It's weird because it does look like the top and the bottom are completely merged into the shield instead of giving you some clue that it's supposed to be an S. It kind of just looks like there's a swirl on his shirt.
Yeah. That's weird.
See,
I liked Brandon Routh.
Yeah, I liked him too. I thought he was great. The movie was questionable. I think it was mostly the scripting and the pacing of it. But I liked I liked Superman in it. I liked Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor. I thought the casting in that movie was great. It was just everything else they decided to do was like, why did you have those decisions?
Yeah. Like, why Lex Luthor had to, like, sleep with an old woman to get his millions back or whatever?
But Fitzgerald brings up a good point. Starting off with a cosmic villain in the first Superman movie seems kind of dumb because you can't de-escalate from there. And that is kind of true. Mostly, I kind of like not dealing with cosmic level characters until you start dealing with the Justice League. Now, I'm not even that big of a fan of Justice League because I think they kind of form together for a good reason to deal with like a cosmic level. Anytime they reboot it and they have to deal with Darkseid, I think is always a good reason. But the Justice League is something that shouldn't be permanently banded. It should be like a pact. You come together to handle something you guys can't handle by yourself, and then they should split off to their own ways in between. Throwing cosmic people at Superman right away also makes you think, like, does this guy even need a Justice League? He can just do it by himself?
Right. Well, here, someone did an edit.
Oh, wait, let me see.
I don't know if Where should I put it? I guess I'll share it.
You could, yeah.
Yeah, let's see, share. So how does this look?
Here, let me
Much brighter, right?
make it big for everybody else to see too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can't even see the whole thing on the show screen, but I can't obviously in the Discord. And yeah, it looks way better. Let me let everyone else see. Yeah, I think that looks great actually.
Yeah, you got rid of all the gunk on the suit.
Little issue with the fabric, but with it being that bright, I can barely even see the seams, so it doesn't bother me as much.
Yeah. It's like this is what we all wanted, right?
Yeah, pretty much, more or less.
Hopeful Superman.
He's supposed to be a
Instead
beacon
of
of hope.
the yeah. Instead of here, let's see if I can scroll. A lot of people are messing with it, but yeah,
that's the actual one.
The one that actually put out.
Like I said, it doesn't look bad because it does kind of just look dirty. Even the pants, it looks like the actual base fabric of the suit is bright enough. It's the lighting and the grunge and everything, and it's going to be a bright, colorful movie, but it's going to be like this weird mid-saturation because that's what the Guardians of the Galaxy movies were, right? There's all these bright, colorful things in base, but then like the camera tones everything down halfway.
And the I guess they're making Solaris. They're giving Solaris the homosexual lighting.
I guess
the purple.
That might just be what it looks like when he's firing his laser.
Yeah.
But the thing too is like that just looks like the lighting effects you would see in Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Like I see this. It's like, of course, it's James Gunn. I can tell the same person is working on this. His voice as a director, cinematographer, and stuff kind of just shows through.
Yeah. That's funny. Oh, and there was like one person photoshopped him into a shoe store, like he's trying on shoes.
That's nice.
That's pretty good.
But overall, like I said, I like the look of the actor. We'll see if he can act. I don't know who he is. I don't know his history, if he has a history. Personally, I kind of like no-name actors, so I don't associate them with other things. Just there's also the risk that as an audience, you don't know if they can act or not, you know?
Yeah. And someone changed that beam coming out of the sun so that it looks like it's coming from Godzilla.
Yeah. Or the thing I referenced earlier in GMT's wrestling now is a shoop de whoop, which is I'm a firing my laser. Classic internet meme.
David Cornsweat.
Cornsweat? That's his last name?
Apparently.
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't know if that's how you pronounce it.
No recollection of this guy existing before, so I don't know if he's been in anything else. I don't think I've seen him in anything else, even if he has been.
Yeah. I don't recognize him from anything. I mean, I guess that's good.
But also, like, I guess to be fair, is even though I had seen Henry Cavill in something before that, because I think he was in, like, one of the Harry Potter movies, I didn't recognize him from, like, everything. I think, did he play, like, a bad guy in one of those movies?
No.
No, I'm trying to remember what it was. I swear, I saw him in something before Man of Steel, but I didn't recognize him. So, like, I had no idea who he was before Man of Steel. It was some, like, British movie he was in, and I'd seen him before. But I could have seen this guy in something and just have no idea that I saw him, right? Now that I've seen Henry Cavill in a few things, I recognize him when I see him in things. But, like, I didn't recognize him from anything before that.
Yeah, I can say with pretty much certainty he's never been in a Harry Potter movie. I'm trying to think of what you might be thinking of.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I thought he played like a villain once in there, but I think what came up is he lost a casting in Harry Potter once. But I know I saw him in something before that, and I didn't recognize him at all. Oh no, I know what I saw him in. I think he was in Stardust, and he was the rival guy that he was trying to win the girl's hand from. at the beginning in his hometown. Right, he had like a mustache and everything. That was like the very British movie I saw him in, and I had no idea that was Henry Cavill, even though I saw that movie like many times, and it wasn't until later I went back and watched it like, is that Henry Cavill?
Yeah.
And I looked it up, and it was.
Oh, Charlie Cox.
Yeah, he was in that one too. I love Stardust. It's such a good movie.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah, it's Neil Gaiman.
Oh. Interesting.
Yeah. That was what I was thinking of. Because, like, the characters in that movie, especially in British, they look like back in actual Britain. Because they have to cross the wall to go into the fantasy land. They look like they could be in Harry Potter. That's probably why I was thinking that in my head. And I heard an anecdote that he had tried out for Harry Potter. When I was looking up, trying to find out what he was just now, it turned out he lost a role. Like, he tried out and he didn't get it.
Oh.
But yeah, it was Stardust was the movie I was thinking of.
They have a lot of Michelle Pfeiffer's in that. Wow.
Oh, a lot of people. What's his face? Robert De Niro is in it too. Plays Captain Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Stellar cast.
What's funny is I'm seeing a lot of pictures from there on IMDb, but none of Henry Cavill.
He has a very minor role. Very minor. He's like at the beginning of the movie. He shows back up near the end before the climax, just so the main character realizes that like he doesn't want what he wants anymore. But he had become so skilled that he like beats the guy in a like quick little fencing match. And then he shows up at the very end again during the wedding. So he's got like, I don't know, 3 to 5 minutes tops of screen time, probably less than 5. It's like 3 minutes. It was another reason why I didn't recognize him, because like he's wearing this full suit.
Oh,
he's got like a mustache
he's
on.
Blonde.
And blonde. It's like,
oh my gosh, yeah.
He looks kind of thin compared to what you're used to seeing him, because he hasn't had to work out for a role or anything, and he's wearing a suit.
He almost looks like Carrie Elways in this.
Yeah. It's indistinguishable. Like, you would not
weird.
be able to tell that was him if you didn't know.
Yeah, I could barely. Yeah, if it didn't say Henry Cavill on here, I never would have guessed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like, that's what I'm saying about the new guy is I didn't recognize Cavill from something I've seen him in when I watched Man of Steel or even later stuff. I probably could have seen this guy in something else and just never recognized him before. Especially, like, superhero movies. Yeah. A good example is the Raimi Spider-Man, right? Now, what's his name? Why am I spacing on it? Guy who actually played Peter Parker in the old Spider-Man ones. From Pleasantville. I don't know why I'm thinking on this.
I know who you're talking about.
Normally I know this guy's name off the top of my head, but I'm like having a brain fart here.
Yeah.
Tobey Maguire. Thank you, Fischozo. Tobey Maguire, right? Like, I had seen him in stuff before, but he has a very distinct face, and they didn't really do much to change him other than he worked out for the role, right? So, like, obviously you still recognize Tobey Maguire, but you look at the change from previous things he was in to how much he had to build up for Spider-Man. This happens to almost every single actor who has to become a superhero. They all have to go through this training program, and sometimes, if they have just a very plain face to begin with, you don't even recognize them after they're done with the workout routine. They look like a completely different person. Yeah, I did mention he was in Pleasantville, which is a good movie. I love Pleasantville. I've rewatched that several times. But, yeah.
Yeah, he was the definitive Spider-Man to me.
Same.
Frankly.
I think
until they screwed him
writing-wise,
up in the third one.
They wrote Garfield to be more like Peter Parker, but I will still always see Tobey Maguire in my head as the live-action Spider-Man.
Yeah. I'm going to take my shoes off. I just got home.
But also, on the counterpoint, he got to act more like Spider-Man with all the quips and stuff. Like, when he was Spider-Man, he was fun like Spider-Man is supposed to be.
Who? James
No, Tobey Maguire.
Garfield or whatever?
I think Garfield was more like Peter, because Peter was kind of a dick at the very beginning. If you go back and read the first issue of Spider-Man, like, Peter was kind of a dick. But, like, the way that Maguire got to be Spider-Man when he's like fighting people and talking, like that felt like Spider-Man. I think Raimi captured the essence of Spider-Man better than anybody else had. Same with like I think the original movies, well, I guess technically they were black and white ones. The 70s Superman movies, right? Going through that 70, what was the first one, like 78, and then they went into the 80s or something after that. I forget when the first one was.
Yeah.
But those are always going to be the definitive Superman movies to me because they just capture the spirit of Superman, and nothing else has really come close yet.
Yeah, that second one was a little weird in that they kind of gave him some weird powers. Well, unless you watch the Donner cut. The Donner cut's really good.
Yeah, but also I think it was weird because people weren't reading the comics at the time, right? Which obviously I wasn't. I was alive, but I went back and reread all of that stuff. If you were looking at the comics at the time, that was about right before the Crisis of Infinite Earths, and Superman was so stupid as a character that he could just make up powers on the fly, like in the comics. He like could total muscle control, so he could morph his body into different things to look like different people. He had shape-shifting powers. He could just like change the molecular structure of other things. Like he'd just become too strong. So him ripping off his S and throwing that like cellophane net at people from a comic perspective really wasn't out of the question. But the people watching it are people who understood that Superman's powers were like Golden Age Superman, even though that hadn't been around for a while, because that's what they were familiar with.
Plus the whole thing with the cellophane S, what was the point? Because as
it
soon
didn't
as
even
it
do anything,
like,
really.
I know, it like wrapped them up and they were like, and then it disappeared.
It's
and
like,
they were
look,
like,
a distraction.
Oh, that was it? Like,
Yeah.
is that it? So dumb. Although I did like that, well, I don't know, it's kind of, they kind of had the petty part where, you know, he goes back to the guy who beat him up when he lost his powers, and he like beats that guy up, and it's like, would Superman do that? I guess anyone would. I don't know.
I mean, Superman
most
wouldn't
people
beat him
would,
up.
but
I could see Superman, if he felt like that guy actually needed to be taught a lesson, might toy around with him a little bit. I don't think Superman would ever harm the guy, but if he thought it was like the best for the community in that area, he wouldn't do anything drastic.
Yeah, the guy was being a dick to everyone,
Yeah.
especially like the waitress or whatever.
But he would never do something if they were just a dick to Clark as a person. Right? He just wouldn't care.
Yeah. And he didn't really beat him up. He just kind of stood there, and the guy punched him and probably broke his hand.
Yeah.
That's about it. And then I guess he pushed him into a pinball table, but
which still seems, I don't know, that last part still seem a little extreme for Superman. The punch and him hurting his own hand feels like completely in line, but
well, but you know, in 80s physics, you know, he wouldn't end up with like glass shards all
I guess in
his back. Like it was cartoonishly, you know.
Clark seemed more like the type of person that he would do like the whole hang the guy up on a hat rack type situation, by his coat.
What do you think about the part in Man of Steel where he destroys the guy's truck? You remember that part?
You know, just because of how early he was, right? Because this is still kind of before he was Superman, right? Like I could kind of see it. Sort of, just because later iterations, especially going back to like Superboy and fleshing out who he was before he was Superman, like I could see some versions of Clark doing it. I'm not a super big fan of that version, unless after he did it, you have like a lecture in his head of his dad, like a version of his dad that exists in his head scolding him. Then I might pass it more, because one of the reasons he's such an upstanding guy is because how he was raised, you know.
Yeah, it's funny because, like, you know, I like those parts because to me it's like satisfying. It's like, oh, that's what I would do,
and it kind of humanizes him. Like, oh, he's got a temper as well.
Yeah, but on the other hand, Superman wouldn't do that. Like, I don't know, but you got to kind of humanize him. It's kind of it doesn't bother me. Some people are
Well,
bothered
you do
by
have
it.
to
I'm
use
like,
him
well,
though. And I think there was other scenes in
Yeah.
that movie that did a better job of humanizing him. Like when he was being bullied and he didn't fight back because his dad instilled such good values in him that he didn't fight back. Plus, like, he's so strong, the bully hitting him isn't actually doing anything to him but pissing him off. And then after it's over, you see the fence behind him is like crumpled because he was angry. He was like not fighting back. So he was like crushing the fence with his hands behind him. Like, that to me was a very humanizing thing. It's like he's resisting. He's actually fighting his own temptations.
Yeah. See, GMT, is calling back to, I think it was from the first, was that the original? No. That was Superman 3. Wait, I can't remember which one it was.
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, it was 3. Superman 3 was the one where they gave him essentially what turned out to be like red kryptonite that made him evil. I mean, it was,
well, I always
kryptonite.
forget the order on 3 and 4, right? I'm like, I remember one of them has Richard
4.
Pryor in it or whatever.
That was, just throw 4 out of your mind. That one's not important. 3 I liked 3. I mean, it was wacky and had Richard Pryor.
I'm not even going to disagree that 4 is awful. I just always forget which order that they came in.
Yeah. But that's the one where, he blows the oil somehow back into the oil tanker, and then he's welding it shut because he had ripped a hole in it, and he welds it shut. See, the thing is, if you look, he's still blowing to keep the oil in the tanker while he's welding the thing shut. So I think the cool air is keeping it from exploding from his, laser eyes. Maybe.
Yeah.
That's my theory.
Well, and to a certain degree, Superman gets to defy the laws of physics, right?
Yes, of course.
Even talking about in the comics, even by the Silver Age, they started to explain some of the wackier things from the Golden Age, and then obviously, once we get into, I don't know what they want to call the age after that, whether it's like the Bronze Age or whatever. By the time we get to New Earth, which is what I always called it for DC, because that's the Earth it took place in, they even explain further some of the wacky things in the Silver Age. But by the Silver Age, they already gave him a power that was called tactile telekinesis. So there's like the issue where he goes and he catches like Lois from a falling building or whatever, right? And he's like, well, she would die from the acceleration and stopping immediately. He's like, well, no, because of the nature that they already gave him tactile telekinesis, he can actually just disperse all of that energy because that's just the way Superman works. And it's like, well, he's already defying physics, so as long as you give an explanation, that's all that actually matters. It's like, why can Superman hold an entire building sideways without it falling apart?
Yeah.
Because the tactile telekinesis lets him put equal pressure on the entire building just by touching it. It's a stupid explanation, but it's been a consistent one for a pretty long time now.
Yeah. See, it's adding more oxygen.
Technically more
I
carbon dioxide, so there's oxygen in there.
Yeah, but but he's keeping the heat from getting to it because he's blowing cold air.
Pressure is the more thing that's happening.
Yeah. Anyway, that was actually one thing I liked about Superman Returns with Brandon Routh is that they did not try to have him magically hold that airplane. Like when he grabs the airplane that's crashing by the wing, the fucking wing just rips right off. And he's like, oh shit, so of course at the end when he catches it,
I didn't like that.
It wouldn't
for one reason
quite work that way, but
and not because that wasn't physically similar to how things should work, like the wing should rip off and stuff like that. It's this is supposed to be an experienced Superman who should probably already know the physics of how a plane is going to react when he does that. If this was like a brand new Superman, which one of his earliest things was saving a plane crash, you see that in so many different things, that would make sense. But this is experienced Superman, like he would know how that's going to react.
True. Yeah, so it was good in that it was, it's impossible to say, but probably more realistic. But yeah, bad in that, why did he do that? That was dumb. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Iron Man 3.
Maybe it was...
But has one of the most realistic superhero saving falling people scene in any movie, because what he does is, as he's going around, he's actually like keeping up the acceleration with the falling people and dragging them together so they can hold hands and kind of create a human net that is slowing their acceleration before they land in the water. So they kind of together become their own parachute. And it's like, that's actually the most realistic way he could save those people, given what's around him.
Yeah. Of course, maybe what he was trying to do, because isn't most of the fuel in the wings? Maybe he was trying to lighten the plane and get rid of the fuel.
Engines in the wings. When you fuel up a plane, it goes right into the body. I don't know how the systems connect to the wings, if it's moving it and storing it there. Because it has to split between both of the wings.
I thought the fuel tanks were actually mostly in the wings.
They might be. I just know when they actually fuel it up, when you see them put like the huge connector, it's to the body. And that's probably because the tanks are designed to split it between the two wings. So you pick a central source. That might be the case. I just personally don't know where it is. You could be right here. I know the engines are.
And maybe
it would make sense for the fuel tanks to be close to the engines.
Yeah. Maybe he was just trying to like lighten the plane and make it a little
well, the
bit
engines
less.
are most of the weight of the plane anyway, without the fuel.
True.
So, yeah.
True. Yeah. GMT says she loved Superman 3, especially the computer turning humans into robots. Well, they only don't do it. It only does it with one person.
But it has the capacity
the
to
sister.
do that. So
yeah, that was
for GMT. It's a dream of a bright future.
Yeah. They mostly are in the wings, yeah.
Okay. I just knew about the engines.
Yeah, that was actually probably the most memorable, because I watched Superman 3. It was on, what do they call it? Just broadcast TV over and over and over
Yeah,
again
that's how
in
I
the
mostly
80s.
saw all of them, is even throughout the 90s, you would see reruns of it just being on TV. I think Turner Classic Movies used to play it a lot.
Yeah, and I remember the robot scene was probably the most memorable part.
But I think that's also why I forget the order of 3 and 4, because Turner Classic Movies would just play all 4 of them, and like 1, it's 1. It's the best out of all of the movies. 2, because of the weird stuff that happens, it's probably the one that stands out in people's minds the most, especially because of like the whole cellophane thing and all the Zod. Neil before Zod, right? And then the other 2, it's like, 3's better than 4, but they're also kind of both just weird movies, and it could be easy to blend them together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think because I liked Richard Pryor at the time.
Richard Pryor.
I mean, I still do, but 3 always stood out to me as my favorite because he was hilarious, and it was funny because he was like a hacker. He's a computer programmer guy. Well, he like taught himself how to do it.
Yeah.
And he did the whole thing where he steals fractions of a penny from everybody's paycheck so nobody notices, but he ends up being, making millions. And
the thing they later did in Office Space, pretty much. Yeah.
Oh, what's funny is so watching it later, I don't think I caught onto this when I was a kid. But watching it later, you see the scene where the boss is, they discover it, but they can't figure out who did it. And they're like, well, we'll only figure this out if he trips up somehow. And the very next thing, Richard Pryor drives in like in a Ferrari or something.
Which is 100% like every character that Richard Pryor has ever played.
Yeah. It's like, oh, he's so stupid. Could have gotten away with it.
He's the best part.
And I forget.
Though there's also a really good
I remember
scene because isn't that the one where he was also split into like the 2 different Supermans?
Yes.
Right, and he had to fight himself.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good scene because it kind of highlights you try to humanize the internal turmoil, the psyche of Superman, where like he's this guy who has to be a Boy Scout, and he's even like fighting himself internally, and now that it's become an external fight.
Yeah. And it's not clear. I mean, I guess even though it shows like he splits apart and it's like the evil Superman, and then the good one is shown as Clark Kent,
Yeah.
but he still has the same powers because like he gets thrown into like this car crushing machine, but he survives because he's still. It was unclear to me at first because it's
Well,
like,
I
wait,
think it's because Clark
so does the-
represents Superman's morals, while the other
Yeah.
one is like his repressed desires, like the things that like I'm not allowed to do because I'm the Boy Scout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when they were fighting each other, they both had the same
Yeah, yeah.
powers. They were both. Yeah.
It was kind of like an id versus
oh.
super ego situation.
Yeah. But it was also fun. I have to go back and look, but I remember when Richard Pryor gets the job he's just like a data entry guy. He gets his paycheck, and I just remember seeing that paycheck, and I'm like, damn, like what? I imagine minimum wage must have been like $3 or something because the paycheck was like 150 for like a week or something ridiculously low. It was just like, oh my God, how do people live on that? But I guess they did.
Well, also things cost a lot less too.
Yeah.
It's kind of like another really good Richard Pryor movie. Probably my favorite movie is Brewster's Millions, right? And in the movie, because of the time it took place, he had to blow, I think it was $3 million in a month for him to get like 30 million or something like that. It was like some smaller portion, or 300 million. And like,
I think he had to blow 30.
30 for like 300 or something. Like he got 10 times if he blew it in a month, right? And it was partly because he was the guy who was supposed to inherit the stuff, but he had to prove that he could do it. And he eventually did because of the stamp at the very end.
He had to sort of make himself sick of spending money.
Yeah. But when you look at it, the stuff that he'd be spending in today's money, they would have to rename it Brewster's Billions.
Yeah. Or like 30 million. I mean, you could blow through that in a day.
Yeah. And it had to be stuff
Easily.
that did not retain value, like no assets or anything. But it's like, in today's age, you could still do that, right?
Yeah.
Even a car.
Yeah,
like you could buy a car which has value, but cars also immediately lose their value. So then you can immediately like resell it, and you still would have went down in that process.
Yeah, I can't remember what their rules were, but at some point, like he invests in a stock. So it theoretically should. He invests in a stock that he thought would go down or something, or he gives money to a friend who invests it for him, and it ends up going up. And he's like, oh shit, I guess you could theoretically buy something that would lose value, but you couldn't just like buy a car and then just sell it for a penny or something like that. It would have to be sold at market value.
Add market value, but as soon as you drive the car off the lot, it already starts to lose it. Heck, he could intentionally crash the thing and then try to sell it.
Yeah, I don't know why he didn't do something like that.
No, he had the best idea. Politics. If there's any way to burn money, it's politics.
Yeah. Although 30 million, that still sounds like a lot for a political campaign. But I guess he's running for a
mayor of New York, I think, which like you could
mayor or governor.
I don't remember what exactly, but I mean of New York City, period. Like whether it was mayor or if you're going to governor of the state, of all states, you could easily just burn 30 million on that in today's age. Now back then, it was harder because 30 million was worth a lot more. But today, easily. The stamps. I think it's the stamp.
I'm like,
like I said earlier, like the stamp is what saved the day.
He
on one of them.
He bought a stamp and then mailed it. He bought like $1 million stamp and then mailed it. That was great.
Because the second you put it on, the stamp is now functionally worthless.
Yeah. Of course, he won kind of by cheating. Like, I guess not. I don't know if it considered. Like, a guy like shows up at the end and like gives him back some money that he was hiding, and he ends up having like he punches the guy, and then he's like, "I'm going to sue you," and he says, "Well, I'm going to need a lawyer, and what's your retainer?"
The lawyer. And that's the
hires a lawyer
fee.
and gives it their but does having her services count as an asset?
I would agree. I would say that's the one that really saved the day. But no, because retaining services is just burning money. You don't actually gain any money out of it, right? Now you could say
Yeah, I
it
guess.
prevents you from losing more money, but you don't gain money from having somebody on retainer. You only ever gain money if some weird court case happens to go in your favor.
Yeah, but I'm saying he had to arrive with no assets. But
Yeah.
does having a lawyer who is obligated to, I don't know.
No, because
guess
the
it
lawyer's
didn't
not
matter.
worth
It's a
money,
comedy.
right? Like it's not something
I
that is
guess.
a positive net asset, right?
But their services are. I don't know. I guess it's not. I guess it didn't count.
It's like you couldn't buy property because like a house, buying a house is an asset that is worth money, the land it's on.
Yeah.
And that can actually end up going up in value depending on land speculation.
Yeah. There was a lot of Richard Pryor on TV in the 80s because, like, that movie, Superman 3, The Toy,
Silver
was
Streak.
another one.
It's a good one, too. He did a lot of stuff with
I
Gene
never saw that
Wilder.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and what was it?
See no
See
evil,
No
hear
Evil?
no evil. Or whatever,
Yeah.
That was where there's like, one of them was blind, one of them was deaf.
Deaf, yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. He was good with Gene Wilder. Harlem Nights.
Harlem Nights is a good one, too, yeah.
Yeah, See No
You
Evil,
never,
Hear No Evil.
you never saw Silver Streak?
No. What was that about?
That's another one with Gene Wilder. And that was the one,
Oh, there it is.
the long distance train trip. It was a really good one.
Oh, that was 1976. Wow.
Yeah. Stir Crazy is another one I like with those two, where they're in prison and they become the rodeo like, and stuff. Like that's a really good one.
Oh, jeez.
They did a lot of stuff together.
Yeah, man. He was in a movie, at least one every year
Yeah.
in the 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, it was non-stop. 80, 81. He has in 2 movies in 82.
And
Yeah,
he was one of the
that's
best comedians. So like while he was doing those movies, he didn't really tour, but he didn't stop doing live shows. It was just usually like in the area where they were filming. And like
Yeah.
Pryor was just a hit.
I wonder if he ad-libbed a lot of that stuff.
Probably. I know a lot with the movies with him and Wilder. They ad-libbed a lot of the scenes.
Yeah.
Played off of each other.
It's funny because, like, yeah, he was in like constant movies from 1967 through 1991, and then he just disappeared after 91, apparently. He's in a couple movies after that, but not until much later.
Probably one of the reasons he ad-libbed a lot is I know Pryor was also a writer on most of the movies he was in. So it's like, I already wrote the script.
Yeah.
I came up with something funnier since then.
Yeah, and he probably just kind of retired, semi-retired. I'm sure he's super rich. I was gonna look something else up, but I forgot. Anyway.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
Pryor was Eddie Murphy before Eddie Murphy.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Yep.
And
Well, anyway,
he was
Superman outfit.
Steve Harvey is just like a family-friendly discount Richard Pryor.
Yeah, sort of.
No, I don't really have anything else to say on Superman. We've stretched out a pretty long, random discussion on a single leaked image.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
Just taking it where it wants us to go, I guess.
exactly. So I think for the midsection, did you watch last Thursday's Delicious in Dungeon?
I did, but I need to watch it again. I was unfortunately a bit distracted, but I saw there was something about shapeshifters or clones or something.
Yes, the shapeshifters
going
were the
on.
main theme of the episode. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Because the way the shapeshifter worked, it was an illusion. So they all looked like the way the other people would like picture them in their heads, like their memory of their friends. So there was 3 copies of each person in addition to them being there. And because Laios is the craziest of all of them. They all have very vastly different looking versions of him in their head, and it was very easy. It's like, yeah, no, that's the actual Laios. So they put all of his stuff in holding first, and then it was up to him to basically figure out which one of his friends were his actual friends. And he kind of boiled it down to the actual one in one copy, because some of the other ones were pretty easy to distinguish. But while his gut instinct eventually came to the right conclusion, he couldn't be certain. So he tried to figure out the monster more than anything, and started mimicking the shapeshifter by becoming a dog and barking at it and then running right into the guy together. Probably almost to be eaten if it wasn't for Marcel blowing its head up at the last second. That's a quick synopsis of what happened in the episode. It was a very funny episode.
Yeah. There was a were they like seeking shelter from a snowstorm or something?
No, so they were it was super cold in there. I don't know if like the snow thing was real or just the metaphoric exaggeration of how cold it was in there. Because it was dark and everything, and eventually Marcel lit up the place, and that's when they found out that there were shapeshifters, right? But they were complaining they had been through this area before. It was much, much colder than they remembered it being. It used to be warm, and part of that was because that was where the dragon was when they first met it in the very first episode, when the Fowling got eaten. Yeah. It could have been actual snowstorm. It really wasn't clear the way they animated whether there was an actual snowstorm and they ended up in that hallway, or if it was like a metaphor for how cold it was.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like how is there a snowstorm in a dungeon? Yeah. But welcome, Mindbrecht.
Yeah.
Hope you're doing well as well. And something about an Amazon series on food sex? What? What is that? I don't know what that is. But anyway, yeah, I need to rewatch that. But I caught little snippets of it. Yeah. It was on, and it's unfortunately doing something.
Yeah, I'm sure there actually was like a line that made it clear whether it was a real storm or if it was a metaphor. When the show was like first starting the episode, my mind was in a couple different places. It wasn't until right before the room lit up that I was like zoned in on it.
Yeah. But, at any rate, yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about that this week, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. It's just the thing we've been watching, so I thought I'd bring it up. I thought it was a very funny episode. Yeah. I kind of like the episodes that lean more into the humor of it. Like, I'm interested in the overall plot that's building up and like the lore of the dungeon, but I think the show excels more on its humor than anything else, and this was a very fun episode.
Yeah. Well, it was a very light episode after a couple of very much more serious ones. So I liked it too.
It's a Sausage Party prequel or sequel show. I didn't like Sausage Party. I definitely have no interest in a show based off it. Sausage Party was one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. It wasn't even funny. Yeah. But I did find out something while I was streaming, because as you know, I've been on and off streaming Star Rail. I do plan on streaming other things on the channel, but I wanted to catch up to the story because the new one will come out on Wednesday. We're not going to be talking about games here. I'm just, depending on the schedule, I might actually be streaming it on Wednesday, so it'll be the first time that I will have a fresh response, and it won't be me replaying it after I finish it on my main account. While I was streaming, though, Dillard told me about what he thought of Delicious in Dungeon. He started watching Dungeon Meshi, and he hates it.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I figured he was either going to really like it or really dislike it. And apparently the thing that gets him the most is probably how repetitive the humor is, but specifically the character of Marcel was one of the big ones that got it. Because it's like, after he watched 5 episodes because I told him by episode 3 you should kind of know whether you like it or not. And he's like, I'm gonna give it a couple more episodes just in case. And he didn't like it. And it's like, this bitch, she keeps eating this stuff and she keeps complaining and calling it gross every single time. And then it's always delicious, and it's just the same thing.
Yeah.
And, one of the things he laughed at too was a phrase I used. It's like, yeah, because they will even change the joke later on, but it's still functionally the same joke. Like the frog suit later on, right? Where they have to skin the frogs and wear them to get past the thing.
Oh, but that was
disgusted
cute.
by that. It is cute. I found it funny because it was a change in the joke, but ultimately it is functionally the same joke as everything that's been happening. So if that joke is already wearing on you, you're not gonna like that either, right? So it's like either you're gonna like it or you're gonna dislike it. I don't really think that's a show that is going to be neutral for most people. Like a lot of people, like I just don't care, just because of the nature of the repetitive aspect of the humor.
That is true.
Yeah.
Well, like, you know, I would have thought, well, I guess maybe George too young. I don't know. I watched a lot of cartoons and stuff in the 80s where every episode was very episodic. First of all, there wasn't like an ongoing story. It was just completely different. And it was always the same thing. I mean, it's like variations of virtually
even
the
older
same
than
plot.
that, right? Tom and Jerry, right? It's like Tom and Jerry is the same jokes every time. How many times can Jerry flatten Tom with like an iron or something? It's like, I don't know, but I laugh at it every fucking time it happens.
Yeah. I mean, how many times can some Autobot get screw up and end up getting captured, or how many times does Megatron have to fail?
Yeah, how many times does Daffy Duck's beak get blown up behind him? I don't care.
Yeah,
I'll watch it every time.
That's right. I'm looking up their masterful cat is depressed again today.
I have not watched that, but I'm always willing to give something a try.
Yeah, Einbrecht mentioned it in the chat, and I hadn't heard of it, but apparently it's on Amazon.
Okay.
So I'll check it out.
There was something that I wanted to watch. I think we should both watch it. It's a movie, so it'll be easy to watch. And it's on Netflix. And it's Jerry Seinfeld's Unfrosted. My dad watched it. He said it was hilarious. You already watched it? Okay, I'll watch it.
No, I haven't watched it.
You saw that it was there. Yeah, okay, so we'll watch it and talk about it next time. Because he said it was hilarious. I love Jerry. I think Jerry's a funny guy. It's a fake, real story of how Pop-Tarts were made, right? So it's like a mockumentary type thing where it's supposed to be the real story, but nothing about it is real. And it's like, yeah, that sounds good. I'll watch it.
It's like a documentary kind of a thing.
It's kind of it's like a fake biopic more than anything. So it's not like a documentary.
Yeah.
Right. It's
similar
to like how like the Weird Al movie or something, but it's
yeah. It's supposed to be the invention of the Pop-Tart.
Yeah. Like how Pop-Tarts were made, like a biopic type thing, but nothing about it's actually true. Yeah.
Like anybody would care about the invention of the Pop-Tart.
Exactly. That's why Jerry Seinfeld would write that as a comedy movie.
Yeah. It's not exactly industry, flipping. That's funny.
And Pop-Tarts, like the Pussycat Dolls? No. Like the breakfast treat that tastes like frosted cardboard. Yeah.
I love Pop-Tarts.
I do too. Like it does taste like frosted pulp, but it's good frosted pulp.
It's funny. I always grew up, not always, but occasionally eating I would always have fruit Pop-Tarts. Some you can have them frosted or not, but then like later, I ran into people who were like, "Oh, I only like the cinnamon one or the s'mores or the chocolate," and I'm like, "Oh,
I like the
those
classic strawberry frosted Pop-Tart. That's my favorite. Yeah, the blueberry.
I like the cherry.
Yeah.
I even kind of like the apple one. It's kind of.
I've had that, yeah, because it almost doesn't have the right texture, but it's got like the taste of a baked apple pie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. I mean, you really can't go wrong. There's no Pop-Tarts that I think I'd not like.
The reason people like the cinnamon one so much is because I make fun of it. It tastes like frosted pulp. It kind of has like a drier consistency than a graham cracker.
True.
Right? Even though graham crackers are dry, but I think the part that it's like
Well-
crunchy kind of fixes it. That the fact that it kind of like crumbles
Yeah.
in your mouth and it kind of absorbs your saliva gives it a very dry feeling. But when you have the
Well,
cinnamon
you
on
have to
it,
have
then
it
it's
with
just like a
milk.
graham cracker, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But you have to have them with. I can't eat a
Dude,
Pop-Tart.
I've had it with milk
dry.
and it still just feels like it's sucking up the saliva. I still like it. That's not a complaint. I'm just saying this is the reality of eating a Pop-Tart, right? I've always preferred toaster strudels, but toaster strudels came like way later.
Yeah. Man, Melissa McCarthy's in that, and Jim Gaffigan.
Mm.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I mean, I
that
like
sounds
Melissa
funny.
McCarthy in small doses.
Mm-hmm.
She's
I think
good as a
fine as a supporting character.
yeah.
Yeah.
She was not good, and when she's the star, it's like
No.
that awful Ghostbusters movie that.
Or was that one movie that was like an adult Muppet murder mystery or whatever, where she had like a Muppet partner. That wasn't good. I can't even remember the fucking name of that one.
Yeah.
Or the one where like she was this CEO type character and she had, like broke her neck in it or something. Like The Fuzz. That was because they're fuzzy. And I thought the name of the movie is funny now that you remind me. Like I remember laughing at the pun, but the movie itself just wasn't good. Or Happy Time Murders, was that it? Maybe The Fuzz is a different movie. I remember there was a puppet thing called The Fuzz. It might be Happy Time Murders. I don't know. I don't remember the name of this. There we go.
Yeah, there's a TV series called The Fuzz.
Yeah, I think we're confusing these two things. But Happy Time Murders, I think that was the Melissa McCarthy one. Thank you, Fizz.
Okay.
No, The Fuzz is a better name. That's a much better name. But no, that movie was not funny at all. It was not. I don't even think I finished it. It might have gotten funnier in like the second half. I watched like the first half and pieced out.
Yeah. Oh, the Happy Time Murders.
Yeah.
There's a Muppet in that one too. Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd ever heard of this.
I remember seeing
Probably some
commercials for
trailers.
it. I watched it because it was on TV here. I think my dad was watching it. And I'm just like, no, I'm not finishing this movie. Sorry. I'm going back to the
Apparently, you can watch it. Tell you how bad it is.
Yeah.
It's currently free on Tubi. If you wanted to watch it.
It says Melissa
Must be
McCarthy
really
was
bad.
funny in Identity Thief. Yeah, but she was a main character in it, but she kind of played more of the supporting role, right? Like, I think, who was the other guy in it?
Was that the
Was it
guy
the dude from
Arrested Development?
I think. I think so. Yeah, I think he was kind of more the main character. This guy whose identity got stolen.
Yeah. Jason Bateman.
Bateman, yeah. Yeah, that was an okay movie. I didn't think it was like super good. 5.5 or a 6, maybe.
Oof, it got a 35% on Metacritic.
I could probably even give Einbrecht this that she is just funny in general, and she's probably just often wasted on terrible movies. Because even if you're a funny person, even with improv, if you have like a terrible script, terrible director, it's like you do what the director says, right? So if the director has you do unfunny things, you're just not going to be funny. Because what was that show she used to be in? I think it was Mike and Molly or whatever. I thought that was a funny show.
Oh,
right.
see, I was going to mention Gilmore Girls. I thought she was really good in Gilmore Girls.
I don't remember her in Gilmore Girls, but it's also been a really
Because
long
she
time
was-
since I watched Gilmore Girls.
Yeah, she was only in like every 5 or 6 episodes.
Yeah.
Very briefly, or maybe more than that. But,
No, she was probably the least funny person in Mike and Molly. The whole show was kind of funny.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure she's. I'm sure it's true that she's just been in a lot of terrible
Yeah.
stuff, but like,
At a certain point, though, it's like it's just gonna harm your career, right? Like if
Yeah,
you're
it's
only
like,
in
well,
terrible things, how do I know you're gonna be in something good, right? Like I'm just not gonna watch it.
Yeah. I mean, she's not terrible.
Well, it's like even the Ghostbusters thing.
Just-
I don't even blame most of the people who were in Ghostbusters. I blame that director who encouraged all that stupid stuff. And you see like the behind the scenes things where he's being stepped on by like the actors. Like, of course the freaking kind of beta guy from Heavyweights was going to make a bad movie. Like
Eagle 43. Welcome, Dillard and Eagle.
yeah. Phantom Menace
Tom
is in
says
theaters
identity is
like,
important.
right now. For people who have never seen it in theaters. My dad wanted to go watch it, even though he had seen it in theaters. And then I showed him my ticket stub, and like, I saw this movie so many times in theaters that I still randomly have one of the ticket stubs from it 25 years later, right? Like,
Wow.
I saw it 6 times. I was a kid, so of course I didn't pay for the ticket, but like, I didn't ask to go see it 6 times. Everybody just wanted to see the movie and kept inviting me. I saw it in 3 different theaters. One of the theaters I saw it 3 times. It was like 3, 2, and 1. And it's just like, that's the movie to this date I've seen the most time in theaters. I don't need to go see it in theaters again just because it's had a rerun. Do I want to say I've seen it a 7th time?
I mean, at the time, I thought it was pretty good. I mean,
I liked it.
I don't think people
I still like it.
Yeah, I don't think people had the complaints about it at the time that they kind of do now.
There were people, but they were like reserved to BBS and stuff, like just the Turbo fans, like Jar Jar and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think general audiences, it did well in theaters. Plenty of people saw it multiple times. It was also the first Star Wars thing in fucking forever, so people were hyped to go see it. It's kind of the same reason, like Episode 7, which the second time I saw it, I already didn't like that movie. But the first time, I was riding the hype because it was the first actual Star Wars thing in forever, and I went and saw it with like a group of 15 people.
Yeah, I could see that. But like the first movie had that iconic, it became iconic, the racing scene.
Oh, I love
It was
pod
just-
racing. Yeah.
Pod racing was fantastic. I mean, they even did an homage to it in The Incredibles when Dash is racing around sort of through that desert area, and that was a great scene.
Yeah.
I don't think the sequels had anything like that. That was just
No,
like
there's
I don't know,
nothing
sticks in your head.
that memorable. Unless it was something that was like awful, right? Like the visual shot of the in the what's it called, Last Jedi, going through the ship at light speed. It looked good, but it was also such an awful thing to happen in universe that it lives in people's brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I barely remember any of the sequels.
I try to purge them,
I've
but there
seen
are
them
just
all.
awful parts of it that just live in my brain, and I'm still trying to shove it out with a broom.
Yeah, I can't even. But let's see. Eagle says episode 2 had a great opening. What was the opening to episode 2? I don't remember.
That was the diving out of
They're in
the room one, or was that 3? No, that was 3, right?
Was it the one in space? Where they're like the two of them, Obi-Wan and Anakin, or like was that number 3, where they're like having this space fight like right above a planet?
No, that's 3. That's where they're fighting Dooku. 2, I believe, is the one where he met Padme again. They were the bodyguards, and it was like the first time they met. And that's the one where he like dives out the window after the drone, and they have like the speeder chase in the sky, and it's the.
But that wasn't the
Hey.
opening of the movie, though.
You want to have some death sticks? Yeah, you don't want to sell me death sticks. I don't want to sell you death sticks. Like there are parts of that. There are parts of that movie I like. I think of what I consider Star Wars movies
death
because
sticks
like
are-
I don't consider anything Disney has Star Wars, right? Like I'm just cutting it. I kind of liked Rogue One. It's the only one I can rewatch, but I'm just cutting it. None of that is Star Wars. So to me, Episode 2 is the weakest Star Wars movie.
Yeah, I don't remember what happened in that. Yeah. Okay. Attack of the Clones. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll have to look it up later.
It has the best memes of all of them, though. Like, literally, of all the movies, Episode 2 has the best memes. So if you want to say it's the strongest in that regard.
Yeah, episode 4. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Episode 5. The Empire Strikes Back. The Hoth scene was.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
And iconic. But
I personally think it's my favorite too, and it's one of the few times where I'll actually like argue that I think my favorite is the best one, is Return of the Jedi. But also, I think people's arguments on why Empire Strikes Back is the best one are valid, and I won't argue with them. But I do think Return of the Jedi is the best Star Wars movie.
Oh, I think so too.
Yeah.
I love the beginning when, Luke, even though he's not technically, it's like he's so clearly a full Jedi at the beginning of Return of the Jedi.
In some ways, though, he's more than a Jedi, right? Like, he's kind of finally become the synergy that the Jedi were missing before him. Which is something you can't even fully appreciate until you watch the prequels later on. It makes it even stronger what Luke becomes. But it was still good when that was the only thing you could see.
Yeah, just at the beginning when he walks in and he's got, he's in the black robe and just, doing the Jedi mind trick. And yeah, it's all very, very impressive. I used to troll play that the best
Star
Wars movie was Wrath of Khan.
Yeah, it's definitely the best Star Trek movie. I will say that. But I also really like Ricardo Montalban and will watch anything that he's in.
Yeah, although what's funny is like he's not. If you watch it again, he's not as much of a threat as you might have thought. Because he has no problem taking over this science vessel, right? With a bunch of scientists on it. Yeah. But as soon as he goes up against the Enterprise, it's like he stands no chance. Like, they were never in any real danger, it didn't seem like to me. But
well, there were people in danger, but yes, the heroes were not really in danger. Because, like, the two people that he actually did get were also science operators and stuff, or like an engineer or whatever. Like, it wasn't anybody that you would be afraid of to begin with. Yeah.
Yeah, and like the only reason that he sort of gets the jump on Kirk when they first meet is because he surprised him. He attacked him without him knowing who it was and all that stuff. So it's just like, is he really that smart? Is he really a superior intellect? Because he didn't play that very well.
Well, yeah, and then they even made fun of it. It's like, oh, his three-dimensional thinking will be his downfall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two-dimensional.
Or two-dimensional, yeah. Because he's like playing on a chessboard instead of like,
Yeah, he didn't think to look up or down or whatever.
He's like, yeah, if this was a game of chess, he would have wiped us, but limited thinking.
Yeah, this is Star Trek. This is 3D chess.
We have to deal in this fully three-dimensional environment called space, where half the time we don't even worry about gravity because we're too far from an object.
Yeah.
Star Trek had bad writers, always has. I don't know. I thought the writers on Deep Space Nine were really good, but
yeah, it depends. I think it's been up and down. Like, I think Star Trek 6 blows everything away. I still enjoy
the original series. Like, I could watch that, but Deep Space Nine's the best, I think, as a series.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure was.
But I did have something regarding Star Wars, actually, that Eagle even brought up, and that is they decided to run with the meme and make Darth Jar Jar Binks a real thing in some regard. and he will be in the Lego Star Wars show that they're making. There's a Darth Jar Jar Binks. Is in the
There's a
teaser
Lego
trailer. Yeah, they're making
show?
called Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy, and it's a Lego Star Wars show. Just because Lego Star Wars is one of the biggest properties of both Lego and Star Wars. I enjoyed those games. I think the Lego games kind of were fun. I can't really play them anymore because they're mostly just the same thing. They haven't progressed too much. Occasionally there'll be something interesting. Like I liked the what was it? The Lego Spy game on the DS or whatever it was. That was fun because it was different. But most of them is just like insert Lego property and then change out the characters. And functionally, the game's going to play the same. It's cool if you really like the property or whatever, but as a show, I mean, it might be funny. If it's the same people who have been working on the Lego stuff, right? And not the people who've been working on Star Wars. Because the Lego team is definitely funnier and better writers than the Star Wars teams right now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I loved the Lego movie when it came out, and even the sequel was pretty good with Batman. And
I'm not super big on the Lego movie. I get why people like it. I did like Lego Batman though.
Yeah,
but I think I only liked it because it pokes fun at every complaint I've had about Batman over the last like 20 to 30 years of Batman being a character.
Yeah. You want to watch the trailer for this?
If you want, sure.
Try to turn down the volume a little bit.
Let me get us ready for that.
Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Nope, that's not. Wait, is that it? Yes.
Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy, yeah.
Yeah, whoops.
This, depending on, because I saw some clippings from it. I haven't watched this trailer yet. Depending on whether this is actually funny or not, it might be the only Star Wars thing I'm remotely interested in watching. I'm still not getting Disney Plus for it, though. I'll watch it through back channels.
Yeah, something. Is it like an alternate universe?
Yeah. They're looking at it in like the Lego perspective too, where like you can rebuild, you can change things. So even like history is being rebuilt. So it's kind of like its own thing.
Can you hear the volume?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you can hear it. Darth Jar Jar. But that'll be at the end of the year because it said like September 13th.
Yeah, that looks interesting. I may have to watch that somehow magically without getting Disney Plus.
Yeah. We'll get Disney minus.
That's right.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll watch it in Discord.
Yeah, maybe.
So, yeah, that looks good. I do like the Lego, but I agree. The games, I think I've said this multiple times. I just always get stuck someplace where I'm like, where the hell do I go now? I can't figure this out. It's not that interesting. So.
Steelers, like the only way to save Star Wars is to make them Batman movies. I mean, at this point, we need to save Batman movies because they haven't really been good in a while.
Yeah. I like the Christian Bale Batman movies, but
I don't.
Well, then have you liked any Batman movies?
Yeah, I like the Burton ones. Like with like Michael Keaton. I thought that was good.
Just the first two.
Yeah. And like I said, I appreciate the Schumacher ones for what they are. I saw them when I was a kid, and in some ways they actually capture Gotham as an environment better than any other movies. But still, they're not as good as the Burton ones. My problem is like the Nolan trilogy, since he was the one who directed it. They just don't feel like Batman to me. Like Batman's in it, but you could kind of like replace him with almost any action character, and it doesn't really change the movies too much. It's more of like a Batman themed movie than a Batman movie. Like, I could put John McClane in those movies, and it really wouldn't change too much.
You mean the Christian Bale ones?
Yeah. Like, you could change out the character from Batman, and it still would be basically the same movie. I think that's my problem. It's more of an action detective movie, more action than detective, and not so much like Batman. Well, like, if you go back to, say, like, Tim Burton's or Batman movie, the 89 one, that is unmistakably 100% Batman, and you couldn't put like another character in there and the story still functions mostly the same.
Yeah. Well, and you know, what's funny is like a lot of people liked this most recent one because they say there was more detective work or whatever in it. I'm like, yeah, but he figured out everything right away, and then the things that he didn't were just dumb, and like
there were things I wanted to like about it. The writing in the movie was
needed to, it could have been really cool because a good writer could have done a real, like, really good mystery that you don't figure, like, the audience can't figure out
and
until the end, you know.
It felt Batman, so that part I liked about it, but it's like the movie itself just wasn't very good.
Yeah. That could have been a lot better.
Yeah.
I didn't like frankly, I hated it. I didn't like it at all. It was way too long.
I will give the Nolan movies the props they deserve, though. Like, the actors did a wonderful job for the roles that were written for them. The plot works mostly very well for what was written. It just doesn't feel very Batman. Even like Heath Ledger's Joker just doesn't feel very Joker, right? He great job as one of like the roles of his life, but just doesn't feel very Joker. There's not a lot of it that feels Batman, and part of it too was to try to make it feel more realistic. They stripped away a lot of the Batman from that like kind of universe, right? I feel like Ra's al Ghul. Oh my god, the first movie still pisses me off how they used Ra's al Ghul. And I love Liam, but god damn, he was not Ra's al Ghul at all. Like, not even.
Yeah. He should have been better at fighting, right? I mean,
better at fighting, but he also should have been Mystic. They tried to strip all the magic out of Batman, which Batman is a very, even if things are described by technology, it's a very mystic series, right? Like the Lazarus pits and stuff like that. The fact that he stayed dead and they didn't ever bring in the Lazarus pits kind of pissed me off too.
Yeah.
But also, like, he wasn't the head of the demon, right? They took, like, the whole, what's it, like, the League of Assassins or whatever it's called, I forget the name of it, and they turned it more into, like, a lower-end hit squad type thing. They were more of, like, mercenaries than they were actual deadly assassins from the Middle East.
Yeah. They were like the Foot Clan.
Yeah, and it's like, God, I dislike everything that's going on right here.
Yeah, well, and the guy that he pretended was Ra's al Ghul, he looked more like him, right?
Yeah,
he looked like he should have.
I think you could have replaced Harvey Dent with Arthur Dent. Yeah, probably.
Yes. Eagle mentioned Beetlejuice 2, but that didn't come out until September.
Yeah, that's a while away too. I am excited for that though. The trailer, I did not make me excited from how they cut it, but being able to piece together what I saw in it and be like, okay, how is this trailer ruining my experience here? I am kind of excited. Like, the set pieces look like Burton set pieces. The characters still look in tune. Keaton's voice sounds a little bit off, but like I said, I think that's an older man trying to sound like a younger version of him, so he's overcorrecting a little bit. But the spirit seems like it's there, so I'm excited for Beetlejuice. Yeah, we did cover that on a previous episode. That is something we're probably both going to end up watching and talking about way later when it happens, but it's hard to be that excited for something that is half a year away.
Yeah. I'm trying to find the stuff about the Ghibli Fest.
Yeah,
Because I missed, unfortunately, I missed Spirited Away, which was last week.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what the next one is. But I'm not sure. Can't figure out what the actual website is for this.
Yeah, I don't either. I used to just look through my local Cinemark, but the problem is, like, it used to be tight. It used to be from late May through, like, early September, and they played them tighter together. But now it seems like they're just spreading it throughout most of the year. So it's hard to see, like, the whole schedule ahead of time, just going to your local theater. There has to be, like, a website for it or something.
Well, okay, so there's
Yeah.
a website, Fathom Events /series/Studio Ghibli
I do think it is
Fest.
part of Fathom Events, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like the next one is Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind.
That was the first one that was dubbed here. Yeah.
And that is playing May 19th and 21st. And Castle in the Sky is May 20th and 22nd. So there's actually going to end up being 3 movies in May.
Nice. There's a lot of movies.
And then June is... Yeah, June is Arrietty and a couple... And When Marnie Was There. But... yeah, unfortunately, I'll have to just watch. What was the one I missed? Spirited Away. I've never seen it, so to watch that on my own.
Let me refresh. The Restream chat broke because I noticed there's more things on my phone than there is on my screen.
John likes Nolan's Bane.
Yeah.
Who played Bane? Because was it the guy who played Venom?
I think so. It was the same dude who played Mad Max in the there's a Tom whatever his face.
Tom Hardy. Yeah.
Hardy, that's it. It was some H name I couldn't remember, but yeah, it was. He played Bane. He played Mad Max in that recent one, and he played Venom.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Well, he played Eddie. He didn't.
You could barely.
Venom was a completely different character technically, but.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was something with Tom Hardy recently where I was like, or that I saw recently that I was like,
Yeah.
I can't believe that's him. Like he was much thinner when he was younger, and I can't remember what. Oh, I know what it was. Star Trek Nemesis. He played that guy who is the clone of Jean-Luc Picard.
Oh.
Like
I
was watching
even
and
know
I was
that
like,
him.
I was like, oh my god, is that Tom Hardy? Holy shit!
Did
like,
he also voice Venom in those movies? I thought Venom was a completely different voice. Well, thanks for letting me know that. So yeah,
Yeah.
He was also Venom. Okay, that's cool.
Okay.
I don't really care for those movies. I watched the
Yeah, me
first
neither.
one once, which made me I don't even know the second one came out, right? I never watched it if it did.
Yeah.
The graphics also bothered me. If this was a video game, it wouldn't, but a lot of it just looked like I was watching a PS2 game at times. The humor just really wasn't all there for me either. And he also didn't
Yeah.
feel like Eddie, which is a character I really like from Spider-Man, so I don't like it when they do him bad.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Star Trek Nemesis is a terrible movie, but I was kind of watching the beginning, and when he comes on screen, I'm like, oh my god, he looks so thin and kind of short. Like, I
Yeah.
guess he's not that tall, but it's like, my god, that's Tom Hardy. It's so weird to think that he would be Bane one day.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Bane, though, I do agree. I think it was Dillard who said it. He's endlessly quotable.
Oh yeah.
In fact, actually, you know what? I wouldn't even necessarily say quotable either. He's got a few quotable lines. His voice is endlessly usable. Like, it's fun to just talk like
Yeah.
you're Bane and just do anything else. Because it sounds like a
Well, you know-
weird, muffled, bad Sean Connery impression.
Yeah. You know who just kills me is what's that guy's name who does the conservative talk show host?
Steven
The
Crowder.
guy who does the
Used to do a
Steven
Bane one,
Crowder. Did you ever see his Bane?
Yes, I've seen
Did
his
he do?
Bane many times. Yeah.
Actually, what he called tranny Bane, because he would wear a dress. Oh God.
I agree that Carl
I don't-
Urban's range is amazing. I don't. Did we even
Yeah.
bring up Carl Urban? I mean, he's a great actor. I love every role he plays. I remember the first time I recognized Urban as a actor was probably the Riddick series, like in Chronicles of Riddick, which is the only time he really is acting. He's like a very minor role at the beginning of the movie Riddick, and that's it. But yeah, I liked him even in the Star Trek movies. I don't really like Thor Ragnarok. Every time I end up watching that movie, I like it less and less. But I liked his role in it. It was fine. He's a good actor. He was great as Dredd because he played Scourge. He was the guy who was guarding the Bifrost for Loki. Who also,
right.
He went out as a martyr. Like he took his guns and redeemed himself.
Oh.
But he was also he was great in Dredd because he actually wanted to play Judge Dredd as a character and refused to take off his helmet at all times, which I thought was great.
Yeah. And I liked him in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
So-
he was great in that too. And he does currently play Billy the Butcher in the Boys or whatever. And I don't really care for the show, but he does a good job. You know, like I've the scenes I've seen him in,
really good.
he does a good job.
And he's been in a lot of stuff.
Really prolific actor.
I didn't hate the Doom movie either.
I didn't
that he
either.
was in.
I thought
pretty good.
there was some pretty fun parts to it. Is it that good of an adaptation of Doom? No, not at all. But the whole little like hardcore Henry part was really cool because it felt like we were actually in Doom. So
That was cool.
yeah,
And I think I saw it in the theater, and it's just like everyone was like, "Oh my God!" Like it's just crazy. It's like suddenly you're in the game. That was great.
yeah.
Yeah.
I do wish we could get like a proper Doom movie. It doesn't have to be in first person. Though it would be cool if it went back and forth between like scenes, action scenes that were in first person, and then like dialogue and everything else being like an actual, cinematography scene. But I want it to be the actual
just
plot.
play the games.
Like they're on Mars and there is like a portal to hell is open and everything. Like, were they on Mars? Sure. But
mean,
they were
the
dealing with,
last
like this
one-
weird alien infection thing, and it was,
But the last one had a portal to some place that kind of looked like hell.
yeah, the last one was a lot closer to Doom in plot, but it was also a shitty movie. I want a proper Doom movie. It was just we just have to play the games. That's all we can get. So at this point, I don't trust anyone to make a good adaptation of almost any movies, so I don't actually want to see any of my favorite games be adapted.
Yeah.
So
Especially
yeah,
not
you're
Zelda.
gonna ruin
Jesus.
it. I actually had something up on that, believe it or not, which we're over time, but why not? So the director of the movie has even come out, and he said that he will go to the ends of the earth, his quote, to ensure that the movie is great. Like, he is trying really hard to set this up and make sure that it actually feels like Zelda, according to him.
Okay.
Yeah, so like
I mean,
I want to believe him, like I need to see a trailer first before I can actually care about anything.
yeah. I guess the question is, do the people that put out that last shitty Doom movie, were they not trying? I mean, is that the problem? I don't know.
I don't know if it's whether they weren't trying. I'm going to go and pin it on why most movies in progressive spaces suck, even if the movie itself isn't progressive. And the same with the video games. It's because of the people working on it, right?
Yeah.
And it's just they're not competent. They might have been trying as hard as they can, but they didn't hire
Yeah.
competent people and they made a
So-
shitty movie.
So yeah, I mean, who's the director of this?
Of this one, it's the guy who did
see.
the Maze Runner trilogy. I can't remember his name. I think I might have it in front of me. Wes Ball is his name.
Okay.
And it's like,
Well,
I
anyway,
can't compare it to the
glad
book.
he's-
So I
glad
thought
he's
Maze Runner
trying.
was great. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Glad he's trying. I guess we'll see. This is gonna be live action, right?
Yes, it's gonna be live action. Which it's like, I don't know.
Is-
Do I want a live action movie by somebody who claims that he's going to be trying to make it feel like The Legend of Zelda? Even if I think I would prefer an animated Zelda movie overall, or would I prefer an animated movie where the only space that they're willing to give is to Illumination, where they will fuck up the movie bad? I'm going to give my chance to the live action movie here, if those are my
Yeah,
only two
yeah.
options.
Question is Link gonna talk? That's the
I'm okay if he talks, as long as it's like, I would like him to be stoic
'cause-
to a degree. If it's
Yeah.
minimal talking, if like he's responding to people and stuff, Link just shouldn't. They did say that the actor has to be okay with having no dialogue. That was part of the casting call. So if he
Yeah.
does talk, they're at least prompting the actor in the way that a good Dread movie. You'd have to be okay with not taking your helmet off. Like,
yeah.
I would actually be happy if he doesn't. Like, I don't care either way, as long as it's
I mean,
minimal to none.
like I know, yeah, like I know he in canon he talks,
Yeah.
just never on screen.
Yeah, like, you never see
So-
any dialogue boxes for him. The closest thing you see to a dialogue box
Yeah.
is people ask him questions and you get to respond, like yes or no is technically him talking,
Yeah.
or they call him by his name, so clearly you introduce yourself when you meet new people for them to know your name.
Yeah. John Wick as Link.
I think Keanu Reeves is a little too old to be playing any version of Link, unless you want to turn him into a Stalfos, and we're doing Twilight Princess, and he plays the old Link that teaches him his moves.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Which, if you did a Twilight Princess
Um,
movie, I think it would be better to, instead of breaking up him meeting it, just having like a single training sequence with the old Link. I think that would fit better for the flow of a movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keanu is Link's uncle.
Oh, from like a Link to
no.
the past, and he dies at the very beginning.
No, that's
Oh.
got to be Sean Bean. He
Yeah,
would have to
yeah.
play that role, right?
Yeah,
Just if
because
he
he dies.
dies,
Yeah,
yeah.
and he did have like the long, scruffy hair, though it was kind of. Either one of them could really pull it off, honestly. Like they could play the character. But Sean Bean dying at the beginning would be great. I agree. It would
Yeah.
be totally in his typecast.
Yeah. Yeah, the only thing Link's allowed to say is, well, excuse me, princess.
Or like an excuse me
That-
to anyone, even if he doesn't say
Yeah.
princess.
That and give me a kiss. So he's
No,
trying
he needs
get
to
a
make
kiss.
sounds, right? Like the actor needs to be the sounds of Link.
Yeah.
So like he needs to do a hefty leap and be
Yeah.
like, "Hiat!"
Yeah,
And he does a spin attack and go like, "Claudia!" That's we need Link sounds.
Mhm. Well, my nose is running. I gotta go take a
And
pill,
we're
so
over time. So thank
gotta
you all
go.
for joining us. Glad you were able to make it on time with how busy you were.
Sort of.
So if you guys enjoyed the show, please like, follow, share, whatever you got to do. Get it out to other people who like it for the same time. Twice a week. You know where we are. 8 p.m. Central Time, Mondays and Thursdays. We will see you at Game Central Junction on Thursday. And if you really like the show, consider giving a donation to streamlabs.com/vomitoriumlive. Goes over to the Firefly Fund. Really helps us out. And honestly, I'll probably actually see you sometime on Wednesday, even if it's like really late, because I'm going to be streaming that new part of Star Rail. So see you guys then.
Cool. See ya.